The story begins in a place called Shuluo, a world inhabited by many different races. Among them, humans and demons are the strongest. For centuries, these two races have been fighting over resources. As time passed, both sides became weaker because of the endless war. Eventually, the humans proposed peace, and the demon queen, Isabella, agreed to sign a peace treaty. The scene then shifts to Earth. We are introduced to the main character, Zhang, who is the #1 gamer in the world. Zhang narrates, "My friends all live abroad because of work. Since I don't really have many close friends, I spend most of my time alone in my room. I either play games or draw all day." One day, while gaming, Zhang falls asleep. When he opens his eyes, he sees a beautiful demon girl standing in front of him. Zhang asks, "Who are you? And what are you doing in my house?" Then he looks around carefully. Wait, this isn't even my house. Thinking that he is dreaming, he starts slapping himself, but nothing changes. Zhang realizes, "Don't tell me I've been transported to another world." The demon queen turns toward a high priest and asks, "High priest, is this really the boy mentioned in the prophecy?" The high priest replies, "The prophecy said that the one who possesses the ring will be the savior of the demon race." Zhang immediately asks, "Are you talking about this ring?" The demon queen nods. "Yes, that magical ring looks exactly like the one I possess." Suddenly, she grabs Zhang by the collar. "If you were truly chosen, then why can't I sense any magical power from you? And you're a human. Why would a human save demons?" Zhang looks confused. "I have no idea what you're talking about. I bought this ring from a street vendor." The demon queen sighs. "High priest, there must be some mistake. How could a random human end up here?" However, the high priest remains firm. "No, the prophecy was clear. This human is the one destined to save our race." Zhang raises his voice. "Zhang, can somebody please explain what's going on?" The demon queen finally introduces herself. "I am Isabella, queen of the demon race. Today I signed a peace treaty with the humans, but one of my highest-ranking commanders secretly allied herself with the enemy. She attacked me when I wasn't prepared. I don't know what spell she used, but she stole a huge portion of my power. Fortunately, some loyal guardians sacrificed themselves to save me." Hearing all this, Zhang begins imagining things. So this is one of those stories where the heroine is in danger. I save her, become the hero, and then the demon queen falls in love with me? Zhang then asks, "If you were in danger, why didn't you simply hide?" The demon queen's followers explain the situation. "The enemy has completely surrounded us. There was no way for us to escape. You were our final hope, but it turns out you're completely useless." At that moment, the demon queen's magic continues to weaken. Her demonic aura slowly fades away. Then her body begins changing. As her appearance transforms into that of a beautiful human girl, blood starts dripping from Zhang's nose. The demon queen looks at herself and says, "My body has changed." The high priest explains, "The demonic aura around you has disappeared. That's why you now look human." Suddenly, several soldiers rush into the room. "The enemy has broken through our defenses. They'll be here soon." The guardians immediately draw their weapons. "Your Majesty, we will hold them off as long as possible." The high priest quickly says, "Queen Isabella, you now look completely human. This gives us a chance to escape. But remember, no human can discover your true identity. As for me, I'll stay behind and buy you some time." The queen shakes her head. "I can't abandon my people." Before she can protest further, the high priest uses an ancient spell and teleports everyone away. Moments later, the gate is destroyed. The enemy commander arrives with his army. Where is the demon queen? Meanwhile, Isabella and her companions have been teleported far away. The queen clenches her fists. "I will make humanity pay for everything they have done to us." Unfortunately, enemy scouts quickly discover them. "There are survivors over here." Arrows begin flying toward them. The remaining guardians stay behind to fight. One of them shouts, "Please take care of our demon queen." Zhang nods, "I will." But Isabella refuses to leave. "I'm not abandoning my people." Zhang grabs her arm. "If you keep acting like this, we'll all die. Do you really want the sacrifices of everyone who protected you to become meaningless?" As they retreat, Isabella looks back and watches her followers being killed by the human soldiers. The two continue running, but eventually a group of knights surrounds them. The knights observe them carefully. They look human. Judging by their clothes, they were probably slaves of the demons. Isabella becomes furious and tries to break free. However, Zhang immediately restrains her. He apologizes to the knights. "Sorry about that. She's just excited to see other humans." One knight says, "I've heard demons brainwash humans. These two might be victims. If we bring back their heads, we'll probably get a reward." Zhang's heart sinks. "So these people want to kill us." He quickly says, "You've misunderstood. We weren't brainwashed. Please, take us with you." Isabella angrily, "They forced me onto my knees. I swear I'll kill them one day." Zhang quietly responds, "Forget your pride. You can't defeat them right now. If you want revenge, the first thing you need to do is survive." The knights don't care about their explanation. "We don't care whether you're humans or demons. We only care about rewards." Just as they're about to attack, someone suddenly throws a rock at them. A man steps forward. "I heard everything. Leave now and report to your leader." One of the knights protests. "We belong to the Red Dragon Order. We don't have to follow your commands." The man calmly draws his sword. "I'm the captain of White Dragon Knights. You're ordinary soldiers. Tell me whose authority is greater. I don't care which unit you belong to. I can kill all of you right here." The soldiers immediately panic and flee. The man then introduces himself. "My name is Cephissus. I'm the leader of the White Dragon Knights." Turning toward Zhang and Isabella, he asks, "Why were the demons keeping you captive?" Zhang immediately replies, "Leader Cephissus, thank goodness you arrived. Those soldiers would have killed us." Cephissus's expression remains cold. "If you don't answer my questions honestly, I'll kill you myself." Isabella angrily replies, "If you want to kill us, then do it." Zhang starts thinking carefully. One wrong answer could get us killed, so he lies. "I don't remember exactly when we were captured, maybe 5 or 6 years ago." Cephissus asks, "What did you do there?" Zhang answers, "I worked as an assistant cook, and this girl is my wife. The demons captured her as well." Cephissus nods. "Then where are your clothes?" He hands Zhang a spare cloak. "It seems the demons took your clothes while you escaped. You've both suffered enough. Come with me. I'll take you home." As they travel together, Zhang holds Isabella tightly while riding a horse. He mutters, "These are huge ite." Isabella immediately gets angry. "Why are you holding me like that?" Zhang awkwardly replies, "I've never ridden a horse before." The story then explains the capital city. The capital possesses abundant resources throughout all 4 seasons. Massive walls surround it, preventing monsters from entering. Powerful magical barriers further strengthen the city's defenses. When Zhang enters the city, he was amazed. The architecture, clothing, and culture here are incredible. Cephissus suddenly asks, "Zhang and Yibei, why are your names so strange? Did the demons change it?" Zhang immediately answers, "Yes." He thinks to himself, "If I tell Isabella's real name, we'll get exposed." Cephissus asks another question, "Do you remember your original name?" Zhang shakes his head, "No, I've forgotten everything." At that moment, they encounter a young red-haired noble. He was a member of the royal family named Torchberry. Zhang whispers, "Who is that guy? Why is he blocking our path?" Isabella quietly replies, "Judging by his clothing, he's a member of the royal family." Zhang sneers, "A noble? With that appearance? You've got to be kidding me." A knight quickly lowers his voice. "Watch what you say. That's the regent's son." Zhang frowns. "What? Is the regent more powerful than our leader?" The knight gives him a serious look. "You don't understand. There's a world of difference between our leader and the regent. The regent is a member of the royal family. Our current king is still very young. Until he comes of age, all matters of the kingdom are handled by the regents." Hearing this, Isabel thought, "That's nothing special. If my powers hadn't been sealed, none of these people would matter in front of me." At that moment, one of the knights warned Jihyun, "Make sure she doesn't say anything unnecessary." Jihyun laughed and replied, "Don't worry, if she says anything foolish, I'll deal with her myself." Torchberry said, "When I heard the gate had opened, I thought my father had arrived. I didn't expect it to be your team." Soface frowns. "The king sent us to negotiate with the demon queen. So why did the regent launch an attack on the demons before we could even begin the talks?" Torchberry answers coldly, "His Majesty changed his decision. The demon queen was to be killed instead. Is there a problem with that?" Before Soface can respond, a voice echoes through the hall. He merely wishes to know whether that order came from the king or from the regent. The newcomer was none other than Gurodita, the imperial leader, and Soface's own father. Jihyun learned that this man was Soface's father, Master Guro. Jihyun thought, so the leader's father holds an extremely important position in the empire. One knight explained, "Master Guro is one of the king's closest advisors and the only grand commander in the kingdom. Master Guro and the regent have completely different political views." Just then, the gate opened again. The regent arrived along with his soldiers. They were carrying the severed head of a demon. Seeing it, Isabel was shocked and furious. She wanted to attack immediately, but Jihyun stopped her. She thought, "You'll regret this." Regent turned toward Master Guro. "Have you come to welcome me?" Master said, "You've done a fine job, but I don't think you'll get much time to rest. I would like you to accompany me to meet the king." Regent nodded. "Very well. I also have several important matters to discuss." At that moment, Torchberry steps forward and approaches the regent. The regent suddenly became irritated. "If you have something to say, then say it quickly. Otherwise, get out of my way." Watching this exchange, Jihyun whispered, "The person Isabel wanted to kill really does seem dangerous." Soon, another knight approached Jihyun and said, "Our leader has gone with Master Guro. He instructed me to escort you to his mansion." When Jihyun saw Cephissus' residence, he was stunned. "This place is enormous." The knight laughed. "If you're impressed by this, then you haven't seen anything yet." As soon as they entered the mansion, a beautiful maid named Elena welcomed them. The moment Jihyun saw Elena, his imagination ran wild. "This world is becoming more interesting by the minute." Elena smiled warmly. "You must be hungry. Please come with me. I'll prepare food for you." Meanwhile, the scene shifted to the royal palace. The king said, "So you've returned. That means the peace negotiations with the demons have concluded. Tell me, what reward would you like?" The regent immediately responded, "Your Majesty, something very important happened, and I don't need any reward." Master Guro stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we were sent to establish peace with the demon race." Queen Isabella accepted the agreement, and everything was progressing well. But then the regent suddenly attacked them. As a result, the negotiations collapsed. and relations between humans and demons became even worse than before. If the demon queen survives and returns, she will almost certainly seek revenge. The king sighed. I know you're telling the truth, but surely the regent had a reason for his actions. The regent then requested permission to present his report. After receiving approval, he explained, once peace was agreed upon, I received a secret letter from Lillian, the demon queen's right-hand woman. She promised that if we helped her become the new demon queen, relations between our races would improve significantly. She has already been accepted as the new ruler of the demon race. The previous queen has fled, so supporting Isabel would have been meaningless. Therefore, I made a new agreement with Lillian. The regent handed over the official documents. After reviewing them, the king nodded. You handled this matter well. Master Guro objected immediately. But Queen Isabella has ruled the demon race for centuries. No one understands or controls the demons better than she does. Elsewhere, Isabella sat alone, deep in thought. Even if I return to the demon realm, no one will recognize me in this form. Does that mean I'll have to live as a human forever? The scene then shifted back to Ji-hoon. While taking a bath, he thought, what kind of situation have I gotten myself into? If this ring brought me here, then maybe it can send me back home as well. At first, this world seemed fascinating. But after watching so many people die, I just want to return to my own world. He stared at the mysterious ring on his finger. At that moment, Saphisa's arrived. You're taking a bath? Fine, let's talk while we walk. After glancing at Saphisa's, Ji-hoon said, well, someone's been carrying around an oversized bird. Just then, Isabel's words flashed through his mind. Why is Saphisa's going out of his way to help that human survivor? The more he thought about it, the more it felt like Saphisa's was hiding a different agenda. He also noticed the scars covering his body. It looks like he's fought in countless battles. Saphisa's asked, have you gotten used to living here? Ji-hoon nodded. Yes, I'm doing fine. Privately, he thought, I have to be careful with everything I say. Saphisa's then said, tomorrow I'll send people to search for your family. Ji-hoon was surprised. You want to find my family? Saphisa's replied, of course, but the information you've given us is very limited. Do you remember anything else? Ji-hoon shook his head. I've forgotten almost everything. Saphisa's became quiet for a moment. Then he said, I had a younger brother, about your age. The demons captured him 12 years ago. His name was Sophisang. Did you ever meet anyone by that name in the demon realm? Ji-hoon answered carefully. There were many people like me there. It would be difficult to recognize any specific person. Saphisa's looked away, sadly. Tell me, what do the demons do to the people they capture? Ji-hoon replied, we were slaves. Being beaten and insulted was normal. I worked in the kitchens ever since I was a child. Ji-hoon realized that Saphisa's kindness toward him probably came from his hope of finding information about his missing brother. Saphisa's quietly said, I hope he's still alive. I hope I can see him again someday. Trying to comfort him, Ji-hoon said, even though we were slaves, we were given food and shelter. If your brother survived, he's probably grown into a strong young man by now. Saphisa's sighed. If the peace treaty had succeeded, I could have asked the demons to return my brother. Ji-hoon immediately remembered that humans had attacked the demons instead. He wondered, what if they killed his brother because of that attack? Saphisa's then added, the regent claims that a new ruler named Lillian now controls the demon race. Ji-hoon was shocked. The very person who betrayed everyone has become the new queen. I definitely can't tell Saphisa's the truth. Saphisa's continued, everything now depends on the regent. Ji-hoon replied, since your father and the regent don't get along, things must be difficult for you. Saphisa's smiled bitterly. You're right. My father is the king's teacher, and the king trusts him deeply. Because my father supported peace with the demons, the regent will never help me. But I still have to do something if I want to find my brother. Ji-hoon encouraged him. You're a good person. I'm sure everything will work out. You'll find your brother someday. Sophisa smiled. Thank you. And you don't need to call me captain or team leader. You can simply call me Sophisis. Later, a maid showed Ji-hoon to his room. As he watched the maid walk away, he couldn't stop staring. She's unbelievably beautiful. If she became my girlfriend, life here wouldn't be so bad. When Ji-hoon entered his room, he found Isabella changing her clothes. The sight immediately made his nose start bleeding again. Jiang immediately shouted, Hey, what are you doing in my room? Isabella quickly shut the door and replied, Stop calling me by my real name. Someone is definitely keeping an eye on us. Jiang shook his head. No, that's impossible. Sophisa's is a really good person. Isabella replied, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about that maid. Ever since we arrived here, she's been watching us. Jiang looked troubled. But how are we supposed to stay in the same room? Isabella glared at him. That's your fault. You kept telling the team leader that we're married. Jiang suddenly realized what was going on. So they put us in the same room to find out whether we're really husband and wife or not. Isabella nodded. Exactly. If they become even slightly suspicious, they'll kill us. A moment later, Isabella sensed something. Wait, I think someone is outside. They noticed that someone was secretly listening near the door. To fool the listener, they deliberately started making strange noises from inside the room. After a while, Isabella said, Looks like she's gone. However, Jiang continued making noises. Isabella immediately threatened him. If you do that again, I'll kill you right here in this room. Jiang grinned. If you're not satisfied, we can make it look real. In response, Isabella punched him. I'll sleep on the bed, and you'll sleep on the floor. And let me warn you, If you try anything while I'm asleep, you won't exist on this planet anymore. Jiang quickly replied, how could I possibly like someone who keeps threatening to kill me? Isabella smirked. Feel free to test your luck. After a brief silence, Jiang asked, can you send me back to my world? Isabella shook her head. No, I can't send you back. Jiang frowned. If you were able to summon me here, then you should be able to send me back too. He handed the ring to Isabella and asked her to try. Even after several attempts, nothing happened. Finally, Isabella explained, there was an ancient spell hidden inside the demon realm. That's probably what brought you here. Jiang immediately understood. So if I want to return to Earth, I need to go back to the demon realm. Later that night, Jiang looked at the sleeping Isabella. Although she was usually aggressive and intimidating, she looked surprisingly cute while asleep. Meanwhile, Elena entered Sophus's room. Sophus asked, were you watching them? Elena nodded. Yes, they just arrived from the demon realm, so I thought it would be safer to keep an eye on them. Sophus pulled her closer and said, next time, don't bother them without my permission. Elena smiled. This is the first time you've ever brought guests home. Sophus thought for a moment before replying. When I first met Jiang, I felt a strange connection. I don't know why, but it felt as if he was family. It's even possible that he could be my younger brother. Elena looked surprised. Maester, I've never seen you this happy before. Sophus smiled. Are you happy for me? Elena nodded. Of course. Sophus then said, stay here tonight. As the two continued talking, the scene shifted to the next morning. The next day, Elena brought new clothes for Jiang. After he put them on, Elena smiled and said, those clothes look really good on you. Jiang asked, have you seen Isabella? Elena replied, Miss Isabella is training with my master right now. Why don't you join them? Jiang followed her suggestion and soon found Sophus practicing archery. Arrow after arrow struck the target perfectly. Jiang couldn't help but admire it. Your accuracy is amazing. You must have an incredible record with archery. Sophus smiled. Would you like to try? Jiang quickly shook his head. No, I'm not that talented. Sophus laughed. Really? Then perhaps Isabella is the talented one. Everyone watched as Isabella released an arrow that landed perfectly on the target. Jiang thought to himself, even though her powers have been sealed, she's still incredibly skilled. Then he remembered the threat she had given him the previous night. Yeah, I'd better not do anything stupid. She might actually kill me. Soon Elena called everyone for breakfast. As they sat together, Sophus said, you've spent a long time in the demon realm. You should relax while you're here. Jiang replied, we're fine. You've already helped us so much. We don't want to cause you any more trouble. Sophus shook his head. Don't worry about that. You can stay here for as long as you want. I've assigned Elena to help you learn how people live in the human kingdom. Isabella immediately replied, we'd rather become independent. We don't want to keep burdening you. Sophus smiled. You're not a burden at all. In fact, you could help us in return. I can arrange jobs for you, or you can work here. Besides, I'd really like to try Jiang's cooking. Jiang silently thought, looks like I'm trapped. However, Isabella had different plans. I'd rather go back to the demon realm than stay here forever. Jiang immediately panicked. Please don't drag me back there. Sophus looked confused. What happened? Isabella explained. I've heard that people who come from the demon race are treated very badly in this kingdom. The story then explained the history between humans and demons. Long ago, humans were weak and constantly oppressed by demons. Unable to endure it any longer, humans searched for a way to protect themselves, and eventually discovered the red dragons. The dragons helped humanity tremendously, and even taught them how to use magic. That is why dragons became sacred beings within human society. The king's authority and much of the kingdom's culture are closely tied to dragons. For poor people, joining the army became one of the best ways to improve their lives. There were two main paths to becoming powerful. The first was to train independently and prove one's abilities. The second was to graduate from the kingdom's prestigious academy. Since its establishment, the academy had produced countless talented graduates. People even believed that the academy's headmaster had lived for more than 500 years and possessed power close to that of a god. Many also claimed that the academy's teachers were powerful enough to defeat entire armies by themselves. After hearing all this, Isabella immediately said, then I want to join the academy. I don't care whether they teach magic or swordsmanship. I just want to become stronger. Sophus looked at her. Have you made your final decision? Isabella answered without hesitation. I want revenge. Sophus frowned. Revenge. Jiang immediately realized they could get themselves into trouble. Thinking quickly, he said, yes, we want revenge. The demons treated us terribly. If we become stronger, we can protect others from suffering the same fate. Sophus remained silent for a moment. Then he said, if that's your reason, I won't stop you from joining the academy. But fighting isn't as easy as it looks. Personally, I think finding your family would be more important. Jiang replied, there's another reason. We were captured because we were weak. If we become stronger, we can help many people. Your father and the regent both fight for this kingdom. We want to contribute as well. And this is also our way of repaying you for everything you've done for us. Sophus fell silent. Jiang thought proudly, I used every convincing argument I could think of. Finally, Sophus sighed. I don't know why you're so determined. Isabella then added, leader, we're not even citizens of this kingdom. If we want to attend the academy, we'll need your help. Sophus nodded. If you truly graduate from the academy, you could contribute a lot to the kingdom. Isabella, you clearly have great potential. As for Jiang, your talent seems average, but you may excel in other areas. Later, Sophices personally brought them to the academy. You're both very late. The academy started 2 months ago. That's why I'm registering you as late entrants. Jiang became excited. Does that mean we'll go straight into magic and swordsmanship classes? Sophices laughed. Not exactly. This academy has many different branches, and magic is only one of them. Each student is assigned a teacher who evaluates their strengths and weaknesses. Based on that evaluation, they'll guide you toward the branch that's best suited for you. Jiang scratched his head. I have no idea how any of this works. Sophices smiled. You don't need to understand everything right now. You just need to pass the entrance assessment. At that moment, a knight approached them. Jiang immediately recognized him. Hey, you're the same knight from before. Then he turned toward Sophices. Wait, aren't you coming with us? Sophices shook his head. No. Today I'm accompanying my father to meet the king. If you pass the tests, you'll earn a place in the academy. And if you fail, I'll personally come back and pick you up. Ji-hyun thought to himself, this is going to be my first test in this world. The scene then shifted to one of the academy's classrooms. A teacher named Mike, who taught combat theory, was demonstrating a lesson to the students. Mike called one of the students forward and handed him a stone. Hold this stone in your hand and punch that statue. The student followed his orders and struck the statue. The impact left a visible mark on the statue. Mike then said, now open your hand. When the student opened his hand, everyone saw that the stone had shattered completely. Mike shook his head. You used too much force. If you truly want to master combat, you must be able to strike your target without damaging the object you're holding. The student looked confused. But teacher, how is that even possible? Mike smiled. He then took a small bird out of a cage and gently held it in one hand. With his other hand, he delivered a powerful punch to the statue. The entire statue shattered into pieces. However, the bird in his hand remained completely unharmed. The student stared in shock. Teacher, how did you do that? Mike laughed. It wasn't difficult. I destroyed the statue with a single punch. Just then, the knight who had accompanied Ji-ho and Isabella stepped forward. Teacher, I'm sorry to interrupt your lesson. These are transfer students, and they've come to take the entrance assessment. The students immediately began whispering among themselves. That girl is incredibly beautiful. If she joins our class, things are going to get a lot more interesting. At that moment, Mike released a small portion of his aura. The overwhelming pressure instantly shocked everyone present. Isabella then said, let's skip the other classes and go directly to the magic department. Mike examined her carefully. Your confidence is impressive. Isabella respectfully replied, Teacher, please forgive me, but I'm only interested in joining either the magic department or the sword department. Mike then turned his attention toward Ji. This young man looks promising too. However, the moment he touched Ji-hyun collapsed to the ground. Isabella frowned. He's incredibly weak. A short while later, Ji-hyun regained consciousness. He looked around in confusion. Where am I? One of the students laughed. You fainted when our teacher released his aura. Ji-hyun stared at Mike. He's really that strong? The student nodded. He created this technique himself. Although you didn't pass the test, I can teach you a few things if you'd like. Ji-hyun smiled. Maybe I failed, but that's only because I got hurt. Besides, we can still be friends. Starting today, I'm a student of this academy. My name is Ji-hyun, and you're the first friend I've made here. The boy smiled back. My name is Alex. If you want to be friends, then I gladly accept. Before leaving, Alex added, if you ever need me, you'll find me in the combat department. After he left, Isabella teased Ji-hyun. You may not have much talent, but you certainly make friends quickly. Ji-hyun laughed awkwardly. If we're done here, let's go check out the magic department. Soon they arrived at the academy training grounds. There they found the sword department teacher and the magic department teacher arguing with each other. The magic teacher complained, your sword department students always occupy the training field. Where are my students supposed to practice? The sword teacher replied, if you wanted the field, you could have asked. Instead, you attacked me without warning. The argument quickly escalated into a fight. Just as their attacks were about to collide, an elderly man suddenly appeared nearby. The collision of their attacks was heading straight toward him. Without hesitation, Ji-hyun rushed forward and saved the old man from the blast. One of the teachers immediately pointed a sword at Ji-hyun. You don't look like a student of this academy, so why are you here? Ji-hyun answered, I was only trying to save that old man because your fight put him in danger. However, when everyone turned around, the old man had already disappeared. At that moment, the knight stepped forward. Please calm down. These two are friends of Sophices. The moment the teachers heard Sophices' name, their attitudes changed. Sophices sent them? Where is he? The knight replied, he couldn't come personally, but he sent them here. They're here to determine which academy branch suits them best. One of the teachers immediately asked, so the principal approved this? The knight nodded. Sophices personally requested it. The teachers then began carefully examining Isabella. Meanwhile, a student named Torchbury whispered, the new girl is beautiful. But another student replied, I think she's only average. Soon, the teachers prepared to test Isabella's potential. Just then, the magic teacher produced a glowing green crystal ball. Ji-hyun looked curious. What does that green crystal ball do? The knight explained, don't you know about boundary force? Ji-hyun shook his head. I spent most of my life in the demon realm. I don't know much about human systems. The knight nodded apologetically. Right, I forgot. He then explained, Boundary force exists inside every living being. However, most people can't use it naturally. To awaken it, a person must push their body beyond its limits. The crystal ball measures a person's boundary power. He continued, think of the body as a cup. The size of the cup represents boundary power. The water inside the cup represents boundary force. The larger the cup, the more power a person can eventually hold. And through training, the size of that cup can increase. For students who want to study magic, having high boundary power is extremely important. If their boundary power is too low, they won't qualify for the magic department. The demon race calls this same energy magic force. Soon Isabella placed her hand on the crystal ball. Immediately, the ball began shining brilliantly. The students stared in amazement. She's incredible. She should join our class immediately. The magic teacher smiled proudly. If the crystal shines brightly, it means the student possesses exceptional talent. The teacher secretly thought, no wonder Safis has sent her here. Her potential is enormous. The crystal continued glowing brighter and brighter. The sword department teacher finally became impatient. If she can't do it, she should just let go. The magic teacher snapped back. Be quiet. She's doing perfectly fine. After a few moments, the teacher asked Isabella, have you studied magic before? Isabella nodded. Yes, I once learned magic. But for some unknown reason, I've lost access to most of my boundary force. The teacher frowned. That's strange. I can't sense any boundary force from her body, but her boundary power is incredibly high. Finally, the magic teacher announced, I accept you. From today onward, you are my student. The magic department students immediately cheered. This is amazing. She's joining our class. The sword department teacher couldn't believe it. You didn't even run a second test. The knight simply smiled. She's extremely talented. Ji-hyun wasn't surprised at all. Of course she is. She's a former demon queen. Even though she's lost most of her power, her talent is still extraordinary. The sword teacher groaned, sighed. What a waste. We just lost an excellent student. However, Isabella wasn't finished yet. She picked up a sword. The teacher looked surprised. You've already passed the magic department test. Isabella replied, I still haven't decided whether I want to join the sword department or the magic department. The teacher raised an eyebrow. You seriously think you can excel in both? Isabella smiled. I'd like to try. The sword teacher nodded. Very well. Let's test it. She then looked at the students and asked, who wants to spar with her? Torchberry immediately stepped forward. I'll do it. The teacher warned him. This is only a test. No boundary force is allowed. As the duel began, many of the male students started cheering for Isabella. Ji-hyun shouted, be careful. Those idiots are all staring at you like creeps. Isabella rolled her eyes. You're incredibly annoying. The fight started. Torchberry attacked first, but Isabella easily blocked his strike. He attacked again, this time leaping forward and managing to cut a strand of Isabella's hair. The male students became excited. Meanwhile, Ji-hyun grew furious. Has that idiot gone crazy? Torchberry continued attacking aggressively. However, Isabella calmly dodged every strike. The battle continued back and forth, but it gradually became clear that Isabella was gaining the upper hand. Then she launched a counterattack so impressive that even the sword department teacher was shocked. Torchberry barely managed to block it. Realizing he was losing, he became desperate and unleashed another series of attacks. But Isabella remained completely composed and prepared to strike back once again. Just then, everyone saw the boy from earlier suddenly step forward and create a barrier, blocking Isabella's attack. Thanks to him, Torchberry was saved. Seeing this, Ji-hyun immediately ran over and said, Thank you, you saved my brother. Hearing those words, all the students nearby were shocked. Ji-hyun quickly turned to Isabella and asked, Are you okay? Isabella shrugged. It's nothing, I could have stopped myself anyway. The two teachers exchanged glances. Wait, are those two actually married? The knight replied, Yes, they are. The teachers sighed. You should have told us that earlier. The sword department teacher then turned toward Torchberry. I told you not to use boundary force during the test. Torchberry defended himself. I only used it to protect myself. The teacher shook her head. There are many strong students here, but Lee is the strongest among them all. She then introduced the boy who had stopped the fight. This is my special student, Lee. It seems you finally found a worthy opponent. Lee nodded confidently. I'll continue training hard so I can become even stronger. Isabella smiled. I think you're right. The surrounding students immediately began, so that's Lee. No wonder he's so powerful. The teacher continued. I trained under the same master as your teacher. That's why I recognized the technique you used. Isabella replied, The technique I used earlier was far stronger than that. The teacher looked impressed. Not only are you talented, but you also possess considerable knowledge. Very well. From today onward, you're officially one of my students. The sword department students cheered excitedly. Meanwhile, Ji-hyun grinned and said, You told me I make friends quickly, but look at you. You've already attracted an entire crowd. Isabella glared at him. What exactly are you trying to say? The sword teacher immediately declared, She's my student. The magic teacher objected. Her talent for magic is extraordinary. It would be a waste for her to focus only on swordsmanship. The two teachers began arguing again. Isabella quickly interrupted. To be honest, I'm still confused. I haven't made a final decision yet. At that moment, Ji-hyun raised his hand. So, when is someone going to test me? The teachers finally remembered him. Fine, come over here. Ji-hyun walked forward and placed his hand on the magic crystal ball. Everyone waited and waited, but no matter how long he held it, the crystal showed no reaction at all. The students immediately burst into laughter. This guy is completely useless. The magic teacher shook her head. You really are a useless log. I only tested you so you could see the result for yourself. Ji-hyun frowned. What exactly does useless log mean? The knight explained. It's a type of tree. The wood can't be used to build houses, and it can't even be used as fuel. It's completely worthless, so people use that term for someone with no talent or potential. Ji-hyun looked disappointed. So that means I can't learn either swordsmanship or magic. The knight nodded. Not in those departments. Torchberry mocked him. Didn't you hear them? They already told you that you're a useless log. Hurry up and leave. You're good for nothing. Ji-hyun suddenly remembered something Sophisis had said earlier. So that's why Sophisis told me to consider other branches. He already knew I had no talent for magic or combat. Hearing Torchberry's insults, Isabella became furious. If you have the courage, try calling him trash again. I'll show you exactly what happens. Torchberry smirked. Do you want another fight? Ji-hyun quickly stopped Isabella. It doesn't matter. I may be a useless log, but I have people willing to protect me. Isn't that enough? Isabella stared at him speechlessly. Ji-hyun smiled. Let's check out the other branches. You stay here and decide whether you want to join magic or swordsmanship. Honestly, you'll probably excel at either one. With that, they left the training grounds. As they walked, Ji-hyun asked, if I can't use boundary force, does that mean there isn't a single class for me in this academy? The knight shook his head. Not at all. Different branches require different talents. You can still join departments that aren't related to combat. Ji-hyun sighed. Soon they arrived at another section of the academy. This is the forging department. When they entered, they saw students carefully drawing designs for swords and other items. Ji-hyun looked around. Most of these drawings aren't very good. Then he noticed one particular drawing. Wow, that one's amazing. The student who had drawn it immediately stood up. What did you just say? Ji-hyun was startled. The student frowned. Which branch do you belong to? And why are you causing trouble here? Ji-hyun quickly apologized. Sorry, I'm just a transfer student. The student looked confused. What are you even talking about? Before the argument could continue, the forging department teacher arrived. His name was Martin. The knight greeted him respectfully. Teacher Martin asked, don't you know that this class focuses on creation and craftsmanship? The knight explained Ji-hyun's situation. He was captured by demons when he was young, so he doesn't know much about the human realm. Martin nodded. I see. Then let me explain how forging works. He pulled out a special pen and drew a sword on the ground. Then he activated the drawing. Instantly, a real sword materialized from the sketch. Teacher Martin smiled. That's how forging works. Ji-hyun's eyes widened. So that pen can create anything. Martin nodded. Exactly. As long as you have the proper materials, crystals, or resources, you can create almost anything. Ji-hyun looked amazed. So you're using magic? Martin laughed. No, this isn't magic. This is forging. Ji-hyun continued questioning him. Then do you use crystals and infuse them with energy? Martin replied. Even a child can do that. But this pen is special. It's made from a rare crystal. It allows us to create objects with incredible precision. Ji-hyun became interested. If that's true, do you need boundary force to use it? Martin laughed again. Not at all. One of the students groaned. They already explained that boundary force isn't required. The students started teasing Ji-hyun. The knight stepped in. Mr. Jing, it would be best not to bring up boundary force here. Most students in this department are considered useless logs as well. Hearing that, Ji-hyun suddenly felt much better. Martin then asked, can you draw? Ji-hyun smiled. Of course, I'm a useless log too. Everyone was shocked by his answer. Ji-hyun then picked up a pen and began drawing. His sketch was incredibly detailed and realistic. In his previous life, he had spent countless hours drawing and playing games, so his artistic skills were excellent. Teacher Martin stared at the drawing in amazement. Your drawing skills are outstanding. You've already met the basic requirements for admission. The knight was equally impressed. Mr. Ji-hyun, your drawings are incredible. You've already passed the minimum entrance requirements. Ji-hyun shrugged. Drawing has never been difficult for me. Teacher Martin then addressed the class. Many people believe forging isn't important, but if someone truly masters this craft, they can become extremely powerful. Ji-hyun nodded. I agree. Forging is just as important as the other branches. The ability to draw something and then bring it into reality is an incredible power. The student from earlier stepped forward and began explaining the rules of forging. Before you continue, there are 3 important rules. First, forging exists to benefit society. You must never use it to harm innocent people. Second, you may not steal another person's materials or creations, and you must treat all projects equally. Third, forging can only be used on non-living objects. You must never create living creatures through forging. Always remember these 3 rules. They were established by our teacher. Ji-hyun listened carefully and thought to himself, these rules are actually pretty reasonable. If I learn under them, I probably won't regret joining this department at all. Ji-hyun immediately said, Teacher, please accept me into your class. The knight then explained, Mr. Jiang is a friend of Selphesus. If you accept him, Sir Selphesus will be very pleased. The green-haired student thought to himself, so he has some very powerful people backing him. However, Teacher Martin shook his head. I don't need anyone's recommendation. I simply cannot afford to lose such a talented student. Then he looked at Jiang and smiled. From today onward, Jiang, you are officially one of my students. He handed Jiang a crystal pen. This is an entry-level crystal pen. Every student receives one when they join the forging department. Take good care of it. Jiang examined the pen carefully. It feels almost magical. The scene then shifted to the royal palace. The king looked troubled while the regent continued pressuring him. Your Majesty, please make a decision quickly, so I can proceed with the next steps. Just then, the king noticed Master Guro approaching and immediately felt relieved. Finally, someone has come to help me. The Minister of Agriculture and the leader of the Great Dragon Team have both been executed. I had people investigating illegal activities. During their investigation, we discovered that the Minister of Agriculture had been secretly helping the people of the East. As for the Great Dragon Team leader, he had been providing military supplies to them. What they did was completely wrong and against the interests of the kingdom. I request permission to punish those responsible. The people in the East are suffering greatly. Sending them supplies was the right thing to do. It could have improved relations between both sides. The regent coldly replied, the East is full of fools. How could they possibly understand peace? More importantly, nobody even informed me about any of this. Master Guro answered, there wasn't enough time. If we had delayed even one day, thousands of people would have died. The regent waved his hand dismissively. It doesn't matter anymore. It's already too late. Then he ordered, bring them in. Moments later, 2 prisoners were brought into the hall. One was Swordmaster Mucha, while the other was a military commander. The regent looked at them and asked, do you understand why you're here? Swordmaster Mucha respectfully greeted the regent. The regent immediately ordered, open it. A large box was brought forward and opened. Inside was a severed head. Everyone in the room was shocked. Even the king stood frozen. Regent, why did you do this? The regent replied coldly, your Majesty is too kind-hearted. You are incapable of properly punishing criminals, so leave matters like this to me. Now that the Great Dragon Team leader is dead, I will appoint Sato as the new leader. Within 1 week, the Black Dragon Team and the Great Dragon Team will launch an assault on the East. The announcement shocked everyone. Swordmaster Muchia shouted, you promised that if we surrendered you would spare the others. The regent, I never made such a promise. If you have complaints, take them up with the king. The king lowered his head in silence. Swordmaster Muchia sighed bitterly. I told you from the beginning, the regent is the worst kind of person. Meanwhile, Master Guro thought, Buru, please forgive me. I never expected things to go this far. Then he stepped forward. Your Majesty, please listen to me. There is no need to execute innocent people. Suddenly the regent released the chains binding the prisoners. Swordmaster Muchia immediately felt his strength returning. My boundary force is coming back. At that moment he broke free and rushed toward the king. However, before he could reach him, Selphiesis appeared. Swordmaster Muchia, you shouldn't do this. In a single strike, Selphiesis knocked him down. Then Sato stepped forward and slashed Swordmaster Muchia's throat. Master Guro stared in disbelief. So this was your plan all along, Regent. The story then returned to Jiang. As Jiang walked through the academy grounds, he noticed a large portal. Where does that portal lead? The knight explained, all academy students live in the academy residence halls. The dormitories were built far away from the main campus. The portal is used to travel between them. As they continued walking, the knight suddenly said, Selphiesis is a good person, but I noticed you staring at him all day. I honestly think you should thank him. The knight then handed Jiang a key. Our team leader made all the arrangements beforehand. He was certain that you wouldn't like staying on campus, so he arranged accommodations for you in the eastern residence. Jiang smiled. Selphiesis is really a good person. If I ever get the chance, I'll definitely help him find his younger brother. The scene shifted back to Selphiesis and his father. Selphiesis asked, Father, do you think the regent will ever listen to reason? Master Guro sighed. The Great Dragon Team leader and the Minister of Agriculture were both close friends of mine. The regent is systematically eliminating everyone who opposes him. If that's how he wants to play this game, then I'll use every method available to stop him. Soon they arrived outside the king's chamber. Selphiesis said, I need to speak with his majesty. One of the guards replied, the king was expecting Master Guro. He already gave permission for him to enter. Master Guro nodded. It seems his majesty is thinking the same thing I am. The guard announced, Your Majesty, Master Guro has arrived. Master Guro turned towards Selphiesis. Wait outside. Selphiesis nodded. However, once Master Guro entered the room, he discovered that the king wasn't there. Instead, the regent was waiting for him. Outside, Selphiesis continued waiting. A moment later, Sato approached him. Selphiesis frowned. What are you doing here? Sato smirked. You always follow the White Dragon Team around. You know why the White Dragon Team was created, don't you? It seems you still don't understand the chain of command. Selphiesis answered. The White Dragon Team exists to protect the kingdom. Sato, you know the king is still very young. That means the White Dragon Team ultimately answers to the regent. At that moment, Selphiesis realized something was wrong. He immediately tried to enter the room. Sato blocked his path. If you go inside, you may lose your life. Selphiesis' eyes widened. Are you planning to harm my father? Sato shrugged. What difference would that make? The regent is the true ruler of this kingdom. He can do whatever he wants. Selphiesis drew his sword and pointed it at Sato. What exactly are you planning? Sato remained calm. You have no authority here. Everything we're doing is for our own interests. You have the potential to become a hero. So why are you still wasting your life as a team leader? Selphiesis replied coldly, If you truly intend to harm my father, I won't show any of you mercy. Sato smiled. There's no need to worry. Master Guro is simply about to learn the truth about this kingdom. Sulphices narrowed his eyes. What truth? Sato answered. Go back and get some rest. I guarantee that Master Guro will be fine, and if you still want to kill me afterward, you're welcome to try. The scene then shifted to the academy dormitory. Ji-hyun opened the door just as Isabella was changing clothes. He immediately shut his eyes. Surprisingly, Isabella didn't get angry. Jiang cautiously asked, So, you're not going to kill me this time? Isabella replied, You've already seen enough. Looking a little more won't make much difference. Jiang thought, Wow, she actually didn't threaten me. Then Isabella became serious. I still don't know what the humans' true intentions are, but they've treated us very well. They've already provided everything we might need. Jiang picked up a gold coin. I don't know how much this is worth, but it looks like enough to buy a lot of food. Then he suggested, We're far from the capital now. Why don't we just run away? Isabella immediately rejected the idea. Don't be stupid. The academy monitors all of its dormitories. They would realize someone was missing almost immediately. And according to the magic instructors, this entire place is protected by powerful magic. No matter how strong someone is, escaping won't be easy. Jiang nodded. Then what's your plan? Isabella answered firmly. My plan hasn't changed. I'm going to stay here and become stronger. In the demon clan, leadership is decided by strength. If I return now, nobody will accept me. Jiang felt sorry for her. That sounds cruel. But don't worry, I'll help you return. I'll defeat that traitor and make you queen again. Isabella smiled faintly. Oh, is that so? Jiang smiled and said, I finally found the perfect branch for myself. If forging is practiced properly, it can become incredibly powerful. So, have you made your decision? Which path are you choosing? Swordsmanship or magic? Isabel replied, I'm learning both at the same time. I need to become as strong as possible. Fortunately, both teachers had agreed to teach her. Jiang lay down on the bed and joked, So you're going to become a magical swordswoman? Isabella frowned. A magical swordswoman? What kind of nonsense is that? Jiang laughed. Don't you know? People who can use both swordsmanship and magic at the same time are called magical swordsmen or magical swordswomen. Isabella nodded thoughtfully. A magical swordswoman. That actually sounds pretty interesting. Then she noticed him lying on the bed. By the way, what are you doing on my bed? Jiang grinned. I'm just acting. After all, we're supposed to be married, right? Isabella immediately became annoyed. This is entirely your fault. You're the one who told everyone that I was your wife. Jiang couldn't help but think that she looked surprisingly cute whenever she got embarrassed. He explained, I only said that because there were too many creepy guys around. I didn't want anyone bothering you. Isabel paused for a moment. So, I should thank you for that? Jiang smiled. No need. We're husband and wife. Remember? The next second, Isabel placed her sword against his neck. Jiang quickly asked, Do you really want to kill me? Get off the bed. Right now. Jiang immediately obeyed and went to sleep on the floor. Before falling asleep, he stared at his crystal pen. This pen can turn drawings into reality. I wonder what its limits are. The next morning, Jiang slowly opened his eyes. To his surprise, a girl was sitting on his bed with a sword pointed at him. What are you doing in my room? A moment later, he realized it wasn't a real person. It was a statue. Looking around, he discovered that the room was filled with statues and strange creations. What is all this? When did she make these? He scratched his head. I must have been really exhausted last night. With all that noise, I still slept through everything. Among the creations was a giant stone robot standing proudly in the corner. The scene shifted to the forging class. Teacher Martin glanced at the door. Ji-hyun is very late today. Why hasn't he arrived yet? The green-haired student raised his hand. Teacher, should I go find him? Martin shook his head. No need. Let's begin class. Just then, Ji-hyun rushed into the classroom. Teacher, I'm sorry, I overslept. Everyone immediately noticed the strange wooden object he was carrying. Teacher Martin frowned. What exactly is that? The green-haired student asked. Ji-hyun, what is this thing? Is it some kind of toy? Ji-hyun smiled proudly. No, it's an invention called a bicycle. Teacher Martin carefully examined it. I've ridden horses before, but this is the first time I've seen something a person can use for transportation without an animal. The students immediately became, Ji-hyun, can we try it? Of course. Before anyone else could move, Teacher Martin climbed onto the bicycle. Forgive me, everyone. I couldn't resist. The students laughed. It's fine, teacher. We can wait. Ji-hyun stepped behind him. Give me 2 minutes. I'll help you balance. Put both feet on the pedals and push them forward. The bicycle will move as you pedal. Teacher Martin looked nervous. I feel like I'm going to fall. Ji-hyun reassured him. It's difficult at first, but you'll get used to it. Try moving a little faster. Once you gain momentum, balancing becomes easier. That's right. Just like that. Eventually, Ji-hyun let go of the bicycle. Teacher Martin panicked. What are you doing? Ji-hyun smiled. You'll learn much faster this way. A few moments later, Martin was riding on his own. This is incredible. Ji-hyun, you're truly talented. I can't believe you invented something like this. Ji-hyun grinned. I'm proud of my teacher for learning so quickly. The students were equally impressed. This invention is amazing. It could completely change transportation in the future. Ji-hyun thought to himself, just wait until you see what else I can invent. Then Martin suddenly shouted, Ji-hyun, how do I stop? Ji-hyun froze. Oh no, I forgot to add brakes. He immediately yelled, Teacher, stop pedaling. Unfortunately, it was too late. Martin crashed directly into a tree. The entire class was horrified. We didn't even get a chance to try it. You already broke it. Martin quickly apologized. However, Jizhong waved his hand. Don't worry, teacher. I can build another one. Everyone immediately felt relieved. Teacher Martin nodded. Good. Then draw another one. Jizhong scratched his head awkwardly. I can't. My crystal pen has run out of crystal energy. The entire class fell silent. You used up all the crystal energy in a single night? The green-haired student stared at him. With that amount of crystal, someone could build an entire house, Jizhong explained. I was experimenting with the pen last night. At first I didn't know what to draw, so I just kept sketching random things. Eventually I drew all kinds of objects. I even drew a phone. Unfortunately, because my crystal pen was only low grade, the phone was just a stone replica. It looked like a phone, but none of its functions worked. Teacher Martin was speechless. So you created all those things in one night? The green-haired student asked. What else did you draw? Jizhong laughed. Don't worry about it. Most of my experiments failed anyway. Later, Teacher Martin installed a fresh crystal into Jizhong's crystal pen. Use it carefully. Crystals are extremely valuable. The lesson then began. Yesterday I taught you how to draw. Today I'll teach you about crystals and stones, which are the foundation of forging. He opened a large box filled with various types of crystals. Teacher Martin asked, why do we use crystals? Why not simply use ordinary pens for drawing? The green-haired student answered, because crystals provide power. If someone tries to use too much power directly, it will place a heavy burden on their body. Martin nodded. Correct. He then began explaining the history of forging. About 20 years ago, I traveled into dragon territory to improve my skills. There I saw craftsmen using crystals inside giant hammers. The tools they produced were beautiful, but the process placed enormous strain on the user's body. So I started researching ways to use crystals in smaller tools. After many years of study, I finally discovered a method of controlling crystal energy. That method became modern forging, drawing objects and bringing them into existence. Jizhong listened carefully. So that's how forging began. Still, it feels like something is missing. Then he raised his hand. Teacher, where do these crystals come from? Teacher Martin answered. There is a crystal mine in the east. Nearly all crystals come from there. The green-haired student added. I heard dragons live near those mines. Jizhong immediately thought, if someone could defeat the dragons, they could obtain countless crystals. Teacher Martin continued, because dragons are present, the king assigned a special organization to manage the mines. They gather the crystals, refine them, and distribute them throughout the kingdom. The profits also help fund the military. Jizhong then became curious about prices. Since he still didn't understand the kingdom's currency, he asked the green-haired student, how much is 1 gold coin worth? The student replied, 1 gold coin can buy about 50 bags of food. 1 bag is enough to feed a person for roughly half a month. Jizhong nearly fell over in shock. Wait, so 1 gold coin can provide food for dozens of people? And I spent 10 gold coins worth of crystal energy last night? The green-haired student stared at him. You wasted enough resources to feed multiple families for months. Teacher Martin then showed them several crystal grades. These are low-grade crystals. Mid-grade crystals are much more powerful and can support far larger creations. Their main advantage is that they're significantly more efficient. Then he revealed another crystal. This is a high-grade crystal. It took years of research to discover and refine these. He continued introducing different crystal types and their abilities. These special crystals aren't commonly used. Only master craftsmen can handle them properly. For example, one type can release fire. Purple crystals can release lightning. Blue crystals can create waves of water. Jizhong's eyes widened, so even someone without boundary force could use magic through these crystals. Teacher Martin continued his lesson. Now let me tell you about my own crystal pen. Inside it is a Palman stone. The Palman stone is an extremely rare crystal. In fact, if we're talking about the entire human kingdom, I'm probably the only person who possesses one. The students were shocked. That means that stone must be worth at least 10,000 gold coins. Ji-Yo's eyes widened. If a stone like that can create anything without needing upgrades or replacements, then it's practically limitless. If I ever get my hands on one, I could conquer this entire world. Teacher Martin continued his story. When I was young, I traveled to the dwarf kingdom to learn forging. The dwarves rarely interacted with other races, but after seeing my determination, they accepted me as their student. I learned many things there and made many good friends. Most importantly, I discovered a completely new forging method. The dwarves eventually entrusted me with this special stone. Using it, I was even able to create an entire city bus. Ji-Yon thought to himself, so the dwarves are incredibly powerful. Teacher Martin nodded. The Palman stone possesses nearly infinite energy and never requires replacement. However, it puts tremendous strain on the user's body. The green-haired student suddenly pointed toward an old photograph hanging on the wall. Our teacher has accomplished many incredible things for the kingdom. Most of the students looked confused. The green-haired student explained, that's a photograph of Teacher Martin from several years ago. Everyone was surprised. Meanwhile, the scene shifted elsewhere. Sophisa's father emerged from a meeting looking exhausted and defeated. Sophisa rushed toward him. Father, did they attack you? His father simply shook his head. It's over. With a bitter smile, he walked away. Elsewhere, Isabella was practicing swordsmanship. Her teacher nodded in approval. You've improved significantly. However, Isabella was exhausted. I've only been training for a short while, and I'm already tired. The teacher frowned. You need to train harder. Although you're talented, you practice only half as much as the other students. Later, Isabella returned to her room. To her surprise, she found two people sitting inside. Why are you two here? When she looked closer, she realized they weren't real people at all. They were stone statues. She turned toward Ji-young. How did you color them like that? Ji-young smiled proudly. If you mix pigments into the materials before creating the object, the colors appear automatically. And just wait, I'll create things you've never seen before. Isabella picked up a scroll lying nearby. What's this? Ji-young explained. Teacher Martin gave it to me. It's a blueprint he brought back from the Dwarf Kingdom. He noticed how interested I was in forging, so he gave it to me. Isabella looked concerned. If you build what's written in this blueprint, won't you expose yourself? Ji-young shook his head. Why should I be afraid? The people of this world have never seen anything like it. Then Isabella suddenly remembered something. You know, I actually liked the drawing you made of me yesterday. Ji-young laughed awkwardly. I only wanted to see what it would look like in real life. I was experimenting with colors, that's all. The next day, Ji-young headed toward his forging class. As he walked, he thought, I finally figured out how a steam engine works. If I can build one, I could create vehicles. Maybe I could even build a giant robot someday, and perhaps help Isabella regain her full strength and potential. When he arrived at class, everyone was standing outside. The green-haired student explained, Teacher Martin went to the crystal mines. Ji-young frowned. Why? The student sighed. When he went to buy crystals yesterday, the leader of the Purple Tiger Division tripled the prices. Teacher Martin argued that the increase was unreasonable. They lowered it slightly, but the price was still twice as high as before. They claimed the extra money was needed for military funding. Teacher Martin got angry and went directly to the mines himself. Ji-young became worried. The mines are dangerous. Will he be okay? The green-haired student shrugged. He's a forging teacher. How is he supposed to defend himself? Ji-young immediately made a decision. We need to stop him. We should ask Teacher Dorna and Teacher Bailey for help. The student shook his head. They're unavailable. Today is the annual spring assembly. The king is announcing new policies, so all teachers have been summoned. Ji-young clenched his fists. Then I'll ask Sophises for help. The student quickly stopped him. That's impossible. Sophises is attending the assembly too. Ji-young gritted his teeth. That ain't gonna ask anyone else. Then I'll handle it myself. Teacher Martin is a good person. I'm not gonna let anything happen to him. At that moment, Ali appears in the distance, carrying a massive boulder on his back. The green-haired boy quickly explains. Teacher is out right now. When he returns, he'll pay you. Ali shrugs. No problem. I'll come back later. Just as he turns to leave, Ji-young suddenly speaks up. Ali, are you interested in making some extra money? Then, looking at the green-haired boy, he says, take me to the Purple Dragon King. I need a large number of crystals. Meanwhile, inside the crystal mines, several knights were talking. Teacher Martin is definitely going to die in there. Even if he somehow survives the dragons, the soldiers won't let him leave. Suddenly, they heard a loud engine approaching. Everyone turned in shock. A strange vehicle raced across the landscape. Ji-young was driving it. Inside the vehicle, Ali and several students were holding on for dear life. Ali looked sick. I think I'm going to throw up. Ji-young replied proudly. I even installed an electric field around the wheels. We'll be perfectly safe. The passengers screamed. Watch where you're driving. Meanwhile, Teacher Martin had already arrived at the mines. He approached the guards. I'm a forging instructor. I need to enter the mines and collect crystals. The soldiers explained the regulations, but Martin ignored them and entered anyway. Inside, he found countless crystals. His eyes narrowed. Hungry. So they lied. They claimed the mines were running out of resources. Suddenly, a massive ground dragon appeared. The dragon roared and attacked. At that exact moment, Ji-young's vehicle arrived. The passengers stumbled out, dizzy from the ride. Ali immediately started vomiting. Ji-young looked around. Let's find Teacher Martin. A huge explosion suddenly echoed through the mines. Moments later, Teacher Martin emerged, carrying a large pile of crystals. Ji-young stared in disbelief. Teacher, what is that weapon? Teacher Martin proudly showed him a strange firearm. This is a steam injector. It's a dwarven invention. He then looked at the crystals and smiled. These are excellent. Unfortunately, they still need to be refined before we can use them. Ji-young immediately responded. The academy has a refining department. We can ask them to process the crystals. Teacher Martin's expression darkened. If only I had learned refining when I studied with the dwarves. Ji-young frowned. Wait a second. If that's true, then does that mean the refining department is working with the regent? Teacher Martin nodded. Exactly. Suddenly, several powerful figures appeared and surrounded them. One of the refining instructors stepped forward. You've got a lot of courage. Do you realize this is a restricted area? Teacher Martin pointed toward the mine. That's exactly why I came here myself. There is no shortage of crystals. You've been artificially inflating the prices. I'm going to report all of this. The refining instructor laughed. Even if the king allows you to collect crystals, how will you refine them? Teacher Martin sighed. That's my fault. I should have stayed with the dwarves longer and learned refining as well. Ji-young stepped forward confidently. That doesn't matter. We can learn refining ourselves later. What matters is whether the extra money is really going to the military or straight into your pockets." The instructor sneered. "You're just a low-class human. Why should I care what you think? I've talked enough. Perhaps I should eliminate all of you right here." The refining instructors advanced. Jiyeon immediately shouted, "Ally and Yibei, use the plan we discussed." Isabella drew her sword and charged. Teacher Martin also joined the battle. As the fight began, Jiyeon thought, if this works, the forging department might become the strongest branch in the academy. Suddenly, strange slime-like creatures appeared across the battlefield. The refining instructor laughed. "These are my animated slimes. Fire and electricity won't affect them. Let's see what else you can do." The slimes covered the battlefield. Even Ali's flames had no effect. Teacher Martin fired his steam injector, but the acid-like slime began melting his weapon. The refining instructor smirked. "I told you, today is the day you die." Isabella rushed forward to help, but more slimes attacked her. She cut through them effortlessly. Then everyone realized something shocking. The refining instructor wasn't even present. Every version of him on the battlefield was merely another slime clone. Hundreds of identical copies surrounded them. The clones laughed. "Go ahead. Try figuring out which one is real." Isabella gritted her teeth. "If I still had my full magical power, this wouldn't be a problem at all." At that moment, Jiang smiled. "Finally, it's finished." Suddenly, the ground began to shake violently. The earth behind them cracked apart. Everyone stared in shock. "What is happening?" The slime clones launched another attack. Then a massive explosion erupted from beneath the ground. A gigantic machine burst through the stone and charged straight toward the enemy. The soldiers froze. Teacher Martin stared in disbelief. What in the world is that? What did Jiang create this time? As the machine emerged completely, everyone could only watch in stunned silence. Some of the soldiers trembled. "Is that a demon weapon?" Everyone stared in shock. Jiang had created a giant robot. Standing inside the machine, he shouted, "What's wrong? Weren't you all acting brave a moment ago?" The moment Isabella heard Jiang's voice, she felt relieved. "So Jiang made it here." She looked at the robot in amazement. "These really are machines from another world. Jiang, how did you build something like this?" Teacher Martin suddenly remembered something. "When I was leaving the dwarf kingdom, I once heard rumors that the dwarves dreamed of creating a giant mechanical warrior." Jiang scratched his head. "I just combined a few ideas and somehow managed to build it. Honestly, I wasn't even sure it would work." The story then flashed back a few minutes earlier. Jiang had drawn the robot's design onto a giant stone platform. After completing the blueprint, he activated the crystal core. The moment the crystal was inserted, the robot came to life. Back in the present, the refining teacher created an enormous slime monster and threw it at the robot. However, the slime couldn't damage it at all. The teacher then switched to a highly corrosive slime. Teacher Martin shouted, "Be careful! That slime can even melt steel." But the robot remained completely unharmed. Jiang grinned. "Luckily, I built it using fire-resistant crystals." The giant robot began crushing slime monsters one after another with a single punch. The refining teacher's expression darkened. "I'll call someone who can actually defeat you." Before he could escape, Isabella placed her sword against his neck. "Don't move." The refining teacher swallowed nervously. "You can bring as many crystals out of the mine as you want, but you'll still need me to refine them. And besides, I'm a teacher of the Royal Academy. You can't kill me." Jiang used the robot's hand to grab him and lift him into the air. "I think you're forgetting something. You tried to kill Teacher Martin. Why don't we take this matter directly to the king and let him decide?" The refining teacher immediately began sweating. Jiang smiled. "Actually, there's an even better option. Join us. We'll pay you just as much as those people are paying you." The refining teacher laughed. "You've got a lot of courage for a child. Do you have any idea whose interests you're threatening?" Meanwhile, elsewhere in the kingdom, several powerful nobles were meeting. One of them said, "We should thank Prince Torchberry. Without him, none of us would have reached our current positions." Another nodded, "You're right. The royal family has been very generous to us." The leader of the Purple Division then stepped forward, carrying several bags of gold. "Our division has brought this month's contribution." After counting the money, the leader of the Tekken Division smiled. "Anaudal, excellent. This is the extra profit we earned from increasing crystal prices." Someone asked, "Should we raise prices even more?" The Purple Division leader hesitated. "The prices are already extremely high." Torchberry smirked. "That doesn't matter. If we don't raise them further, how will we continue making money?" Another noble agreed. "Increase all prices fivefold." Just then a soldier rushed into the room. "My lords, I have urgent news." The Purple Division leader frowned. "What happened?" The soldier bowed. Teacher Martin and his students from the forging department successfully brought a large amount of crystal ore back from the mines, but we sent people to eliminate them. What happened to our men? The soldier lowered his head. They were defeated. Martin and his students returned safely. Meanwhile, at the Royal Academy's main gate, a large crowd had gathered. Jiang looked around. Why are there so many people here? Do they already know what happened? Teacher Martin stepped out of the vehicle and said, "I've come to meet the division leaders. Please move aside." At that moment, Torchberry appeared. "No need to wait. Both the division leaders and the king are already aware of the situation." He stared coldly at Martin. "You've got a lot of courage. But Teacher Martin, I think you've lost your mind. You know very well that the military fund depends on those mines." Suddenly, Isabella stepped forward. "If you continue this corruption, I'll personally make you pay for it." At the same time, Jiang arrived beside her. Looks like the prince is directly involved in raising crystal prices. You haven't been attending class lately. I actually missed you. Isabella immediately turned away. People like you aren't worth talking to. Jiang felt completely ignored. How dare she ignore me like that? The prince then turned toward Martin. Teacher Martin, you violated military regulations. You and your students will now answer before the royal court. The soldiers immediately moved forward. Seize them. Before they could touch anyone, a powerful voice echoed through the area. Take one more step and you'll regret it. Everyone turned around. Li Yan had arrived, accompanied by 2 academy teachers. Sophica stepped forward as well. Teachers, we're here. One of the teachers sighed. I still have paperwork to finish. Sophica smiled. I think this is slightly more important than paperwork. The moment Martin and Jiang saw them, they were shocked. Torchberry frowned. Sophicas, you know this territory belongs to the Tekken division. Sophicas nodded calmly. Yes, and I also know they accused Teacher Martin of breaking military regulations. That's why I was sent here. Torchberry narrowed his eyes. You're lying. You're only here because you want to protect them. Li Yan stepped forward. Watch your words. These orders came directly from the king. Torchberry froze. So you're siding with them too? Li Yan sighed. I think you've forgotten something. This entire kingdom belongs to His Majesty. Are you planning to oppose the king? Torchberry replied angrily. We are members of the royal family. How dare you speak to us like that? Li Yan's eyes turned cold. If you remember that you're part of the royal family, then you should also remember that I'm your royal uncle. The pressure he released instantly forced Torchberry to his knees. Even Jiang felt pain in his chest from the overwhelming aura. He's incredibly powerful. Li Yan looked down at the kneeling prince. You may be my nephew, but right now you're nothing more than trash, disgracing the royal family. Torchberry immediately panicked. Uncle, please forgive me. Li Yan finally withdrew his aura. Torchberry breathed a sigh of relief. I'll remember this. Before he could leave, one of the teachers grabbed his ear. I've noticed you haven't been attending school lately. Torchberry instantly changed his tone. Teacher, please forgive me. I promise it won't happen again. His brothers watched silently from the side. None of them dared interfere. The teachers were simply too terrifying. Teacher Martin then turned toward Sophica's. If the king wants to question me, I'll gladly go. One of the teachers immediately shook her head. Martin, have you lost your mind? The king would never order your arrest. Jiang looked at Sophica and sighed. We've gotten ourselves into trouble again. We'll probably need your help one more time. Sophica smiled faintly. That's exactly why I'm here. What happens next will be revealed in the next episode. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.